everybody. I'm filming this for my wife who's back home. This is how I couldn't make it. Guys, all right.
I love you.
Love you too, thank you. Where's the other 4,000 friends that didn't join us in the back? I'm happy to see all you guys. Thanks for being here. It's good to be back in Salt Lake. Hey, you're the director's chair.
This is your show. You should be in the director's chair.
There you go. It's good to see you all. How's everybody doing? You guys got here early on the first day. Way to go. Salt Lake don't mess around. It's a beautiful day out there. So yeah, we can just jump into it if there's anything to talk about or questions. Yeah.
Hi, Anthony Michael Hall.
Hi.
Wow, thanks for coming. I wanted to ask, since you spent so many of your teen years making these high school movies that are super iconic and we all relate to, what was your own high school experience like? Did you ever get to have the high school experience that you portrayed?
It's a good question. I actually wasn't there much because thanks to John Hughes, I was working. And I didn't miss much. I was an okay student. I really wasn't Brian at the Breakfast Club. I really wasn't an all-A student, so I didn't mind leaving. I was tutored on sets a lot, which is kind of funny and random. They have this weird rule where you have to do like 3 hours a day minimum, so you're kind of skating all through it, But I didn't really miss school that much. I love school, and I to a degree, but yeah, I was out working most of the time and then doing work on set. So there's that. Yeah, thanks for your question. Yes, ma'am.
You've been in a lot of amazing movies and television shows. Who has been your most favorite actor to work with?
Great question. My favorite actor.
Or actress?
It's not like you have a lot to choose from.
I know. There've been a lot. I mean, well, Downey and I became friends years ago. He was always a lot of fun to work with because Robert Downey is obviously a really funny guy. He's great. Yeah, Iron Man. Yeah. So I think just in terms of looseness, there's been a lot of great actors and actresses I've worked with. When I was coming up and I was doing, actually, the first time I came to Salt Lake, do you guys remember Touched by an Angel? Remember that show? It's a good, wholesome show, right? I used to do that show, so that was a funny show to work on. So when I get the chance to work with, like when I was coming up, older actors, like I worked with Dick Van Dyke, I worked with Angela Lansbury, Diagnosis Murder, or the ladies on Touched by an Angel. That was a great show. It was funny because I did 2 episodes, and the difference in the 2 episodes, I got to work with the late great, she played Rhoda, what was her name? Valerie Harper. She was such a sweet lady. But I did an episode where they brought me back, I was playing her son, but it was like years later. And the difference was the show became such a big hit, and I cracked up because I was on set waiting to do my scene, and they were like, where's Roma Downey? And they came over on the walk, they were like, oh, she went shopping, she's in Pier 1. She left the set and she's shopping. So that's when you have a hit TV show, you have time to move around. But I've worked with a lot of great people. I think when I was coming up, it really meant something to me to work with actors that were really established and were much older than me as well. So I've been really privileged, working with young actors, older actors, and a lot of legendary actors. It's been a real privilege. So it makes it fun. And thank you for your question. Thank you, guys. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. So my question is, as you started in Hollywood pretty young, and then you stayed in while you were getting older. Do you feel like you resonate more with like kind of your cute, quirky, nerdy roles, or where you're kind of like the hotter, but you're still a bully, kind of a jerk type of roles?
How do you feel about those roles?
That might be some range there, huh? I don't really think about it. I just remember thinking as a kid that I wanted to stay in the industry a long time, and I just made that commitment to myself, and I thank God that I have a creative job. So I just like mixing it up. And I remember thinking, even as a kid when I worked with John Hughes, that I wanted to kind of mix it up as an actor. So that's what I try to do. I can go and work on a show like The Goldbergs, which is a lot of fun, and it's goofy, it makes fun of the 80s. But I also I do like playing villains. It's fun to do that too, So I just like to mix it up and kind of, you don't often have the luxury. A lot of actors, they might pretend they have the luxury of saying, oh, I chose this and I chose that, but you kind of go where the work is, and I just thank God I've had a long career and I've just been able to switch it up and keep going, So thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thanks. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm a huge fan of Psyche, and I love your recurring guest role. Can you speak a little to your time on set there? And in the scene where you were blindfolded and catch a pen, were you actually blindfolded?
The blindfold, I could actually see through it. It was kind of like a Caesar thing. But I thought that role was hilarious. Detective Trout, right? He comes in, fires everybody, and then gets fired in the same episode. It was perfect time. But I had a blast on that show. One of the things that's funny about that show is they give you teleprompters. almost like a news anchor team, which is cool for me because here I am in my middle age now. You forget lines. You know? So they actually would roll these teleprompters. So that's a great show. The writing is really good. It's really funny. It reminds me also like when I worked in that show Community, same thing, where the writing was so good, you almost have to like keep pace with it, you know. So I loved working on Psyche, and it was actually cool too. It gave me an opportunity to go back to Vancouver where I shot the Dead Zone. So there was a lot of crew that kind of worked on that show as well. So I had a lot of fun with Psyche. Yeah, thanks for that, man. Appreciate it. I expect to be doing Aikido in my office, right? Have the gun collection, everything. It's a crazy part. Thank you.
So my question kind of goes off of that one. So you have a lot of great, really, those guest roles like on Community or Awkward or Psych. If you could go back and play any one of those guest characters again, which one was your favorite?
I like Trout because he was kind of unpredictable and such an idiot. Like, what a goofy character. I remember thinking, like, the stuff they give me, like doing the Aikido in the office, firing people, and then having gun, you know, the gun collection. It was just a goofy character. But the writing I like too. And then also Community comes to mind too because it was really funny. I mean, I thought that was a lot of fun. So it's a nice thing to be able to go into. I like that working on successful shows, you know, because you're just kind of coming into a big system, a group of people that are usually in good spirits because they have a hit show and they have steady work. So I enjoy that. I like kind of mixing it up and doing different TV shows. So thank you. Thanks for your question. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I got to know you through watching John Hughes movies as a kid, and I fell in love with John Hughes movies. I'm wondering what it was like to work with him as a director, and if you have any fun stories, maybe.
Well, he was a great guy. I'm often asked about John, and I really would not be sitting here without John Hughes. You know, he gave me my career as a kid. When I did Vacation, he actually wrote that script, and there's a little bit of an interesting backstory to that. He started, did you guys see She's Having a Baby? Remember that one with Kevin Bacon? So that was his life. He lived in Chicago. He fell in love with Nancy, his wife, and he was an ad guy. He wrote ads, you know, like an ad agency. So he started submitting short stories, and he did a short story on Vacation called Vacation 58, which was written through Rusty Griswold's perspective, actually. So from there, you know, I met him on 16 Candles, but I didn't meet him when I was doing Vacation because it was directed by another guy. But working with him was awesome. He was so cool. He was so down to earth. He was right there. He was always accessible to you. And the way we would do it, we'd shoot the scene the way it was written, like probably 3 or 4 takes. And then if we had ideas or if something came up and he wanted to ad-lib or he had a thought to change something or one of us did, he would allow that. And so I felt like that was one of his great talents too. Not only was he a great writer and director, but he had the humanity just to stay open to things, to let people try things, you know, to improv and have fun with it. But he was a great guy. He loved music. You know, we would often hang out at his house. He would pick Molly and I up. He would take us to concerts. We'd go see blues music or go to concerts. And we do a lot of fun stuff. So he was a great guy, and I really do miss him. Thanks for your question. Yes, ma'am. It says, are you a Power Ranger? What's going on?
Oh no, I'm a vigilante for Peacemaker.
Okay, did you guys see this outfit? Give it up for that. Cosplay's gotten serious.
Thank you.
Vigilante, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so my name's Tawny, and my question was, out of all the most iconic characters you've played, which would you say you relate to most?
You know what's funny, like especially with the John Hughes films, I feel like Farmer Ted, the geek, I think he kind of becomes Gary, where it's like, you know what I mean? It's like the same guy. But a lot of that was just kind of just being a goofy kid, and John Hughes saw something in me, and I'm grateful for that, you know? So that it was very easy to work with him, and I think that I'm just grateful to God that he saw something in me and put me to work. And then I think I became an actor after those films, because then it became kind of more serious in a way. Because just the challenges of dealing with a career and all that other stuff. But when I worked with him, it was just awesome. He was like a big brother that had the whole party paid for. You know, he just took care of everything, and he really was great. He was super down to earth and a lot of fun. And so what he did for me, he did for many actors in my generation. So we're all grateful to him. We miss you, John. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We're going to go way back a little bit here. One of my favorite movies with you is Six Pack.
Six Pack.
With Kenny Rogers and Diane Lane.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know what it was like working with those two famous people.
Kenny Rogers also, I mean, really a wonderful guy. He was really cool. We shot Six Pack in 1980 in Georgia, and I remember we had the rap party at Kenny's Ranch in Athens, and he was really humble, very nice man. He really you know, took a shine to all of us. You know, we all looked up to him, and he's very nice and easygoing, you know, to work with. So we shot in Alabama, we shot in Georgia, we shot in a couple southern states, and he was a great guy to work with. I was also like madly in love with Diane when I was a kid, so suddenly she was on set. It was like when I saw Christy Brinkley on the set of Vacation, I was like, making one of those goofy faces that made Weird Science, but like for real. Are you serious? So I've had the good fortune, and I got to actually work with Christy again on the Goldbergs, and she's a really nice lady. So. But Kenny Rogers was awesome. He really was. He was so humble and down to earth, and that rap part is amazing. Kenny had Arabian horses, so he would take us up for helicopter rides. He had a helicopter and a horse ranch, and he was just very generous and very nice man. And we all miss him. So thank you for your question.
Did you get to jam with Kenny?
I didn't get to jam with Kenny, but I love Kenny's song. I actually saw him in concert about 10 years ago, and he was kind enough to introduce me in the audience. He's just a really nice guy. He had a big heart, a very loving guy. Yes, sir.
Huge fan of all your work. But I want to ask you about when you landed your directing gig with Hail Cesar. I liked Hail Cesar. I noticed you just directed an episode of Dead Zone after that.
Yeah.
How was your experience with Hail Cesar? Did you call all your buddies first and bring them in, or?
Yeah, I called in some favors. I mean, it turned out to be kind of a goofy film, but it was fun. It was one of these, well, we'll let you direct, but you got to, pull in some friends. So I got down. I got Sam Jackson. He had just finished Pulp Fiction. I still don't know how that happened. It was great. And it was fun. It was just goofy. It was one of those movies we had to shoot in about 3 weeks. So it was run and gun. But again, learning process. Even when I did SNL, honestly, one of the worst seasons ever in SNL's history. Here I was on. I'm like the first to admit it. But again, I'm just so grateful that I had the opportunity to be a part of it and to learn and grow. And I felt that way about that film. I was 25, I directed it, and I had fun with it and did some music for the film.
You performed that music.
Yeah, I did. So it was fun. It was nice to bring different things to the table. So I appreciate it. Yes,
Did you just let Robert Downey Jr. just go and just throw things in his office?
Oh yeah, totally. That scene was fun because he ad-libs a lot anyways.
If you haven't seen it, it's pretty fantastic. Robert Downey Jr. just goes off and he's dancing to the music that you're trying to get him to pick up, and there's some secrets in there too. I won't give them away.
That's like a regular executive. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Hey, you in every movie I watched as a child, so I gotta know. Give us our best story from either Breakfast Club or Weird Science. Funniest or best story.
Here's a good story about Fat. You guys remember Fats in Weird Science, the old black gentleman at the bar? Okay, so this is how Fats broke into show business. This is actually really funny. He was homeless in the 70s. God bless him. They were shooting Beretta. Who's old enough to remember Beretta? Okay, back in the day, you just called yourself, everybody just raise their hands, middle age, no doubt. Hey, me too, how's it going? All right. But this is a funny story. So they were shooting Beretta in downtown LA, and he was buddies with a lot of guys that were homeless on the street, and some of them were drinking and whatever. Okay, so next thing you know, they were shooting a scene, and one of the homeless guys ran up on the camera truck and literally stole a Panavision camera. Right? He literally tried, and starts running off down the street with it. Now, before digital cameras, these guys will attest to it.
Those are
big
heavy.
cameras, right? They're very heavy. They weigh about 100 pounds each, a film camera. So Fats, the guy in Weird Science, this is how he got on Beretta. He salvaged the camera. He got the guy who stole the camera, brought the camera back, and then they hired him on Beretta. So that's one way to get in show business. So that's how Fats got started on Beretta. Anyway, I don't know if that answered your question. I didn't tell you my story.
Now, John Hughes told you about Weird Science while you were on set of The Breakfast Club, is that right?
Yeah, well, he was so prolific, it was incredible. We were shooting The Breakfast Club, and I remember it was a couple weeks into it, and I came to the set, and John came up to me in the hallway. We were shooting at this high school where the library set was. And he goes, I started working on something last night. He goes, I wrote 30 pages of the first act. It's going to be
Just last night, it's fine.
Like, we're shooting 12-hour days, and he goes home and writes 30 pages.
Sure.
Amazing. So he goes, hey, it's going to be you and another guy. You're going to make a girl on the computer. And again, back to the Weird Science phase. I was like, who? Really? But amazing. He really was. And there was a room John Hughes had in his house in Northbrook, Illinois. I don't know where it is, Evanston. It was incredible. It looked like a record store. It was all vinyl, just 12 inches, like floor to ceiling, records everywhere. And then in the corner by the window, he had a desktop. And that's where he did his writing. So a lot of his films, that's why they had such a musical feel to them, because he would insert all those cues. He would kind of write those music cues into it. And he was such a big fan of music that he was always finding and discovering new music. So back in the 80s, like he was discovering a lot of English sound that came over from, the new wave sound.
He was a big fan of the Beatles.
He was a huge Beatles fan. And so like on The Breakfast Club, for example, he recruited this guy, Keith Forsey. Keith Forsey had produced Billy Idol. And so Keith Forsey went out and got Simple Minds to do the song. So that kind of thing, he was really interesting.
You know the song, right?
Don't you forget about me.
Right.
I've heard that shit 500 times. I don't either. Okay? It's a good song. Sorry.
You've been in a variety of roles. Have you ever received a physical scar during a scene mishap?
I'm sorry, have I ever done what?
Been scarred during a
Scarred.
mishap? Like during a mishap?
Injured? No, I was doing this, I did a Western, it was with Danny Trejo and Mickey Rourke. And this was I was in Romania. And I was doing like a fight scene or something, and I twisted my ankle really bad. It was no big story or anything, but that's the closest thing I can think of. I also remember my horse got sick of me, because you know that thing when you're riding a horse and the horse is done, it'll just go like down on its first 5 minutes. The horse was like, get the hell off my back. I'm due for a nap and some carrots. But that was the only thing, and I've done some fight scenes. I did a lot of stuff, action stuff in that film, which was fun to do. I like to mix it up and work with stunt teams when I can do stuff. What else comes to mind? When I did The Dark Knight, this was funny. There was no big injury or anything, but it was actually Heath who shot that scene. You remember when he kidnaps me and then he hangs me upside down? So it was really funny because we were on the set in London all those years ago, and we're waiting around for hours. And all of a sudden the AD came up to me and Heath, and we were just kind of chit-chat, and he goes, well, yeah, you guys are going to go do the scene and Heath's going to direct it. So I guess it was cool because he had that relationship with Chris Nolan. So he shot and directed the scene on video, and the stunt team hung me upside down, so random stories, yeah. But no big injuries, thank God, yeah. Oh wait, you know what, hold on, I did do one, so hold on. I broke my hand, I forgot about this one. I played a hijacker in 2 super cheesy TV movies. My apologies, but I did them. The first one, this is back in the day, like in the mid-90s. I screwed up a take, and we were on an actual plane on the tarmac in Tucson, and I screwed up my lines, and I got pissed at myself. And you remember at first, like, when you're on a plane, like they have the screen come down, but they'll have like a wall that's carpeted behind the screen. So I screwed up my line, and I got pissed at myself, and I went back to first class. And all these extras were sitting on the plane, like, waiting for me to do like the high, terrorist routine, and I punched the wall and I broke my hand. Stupid. How could I forget that? So I did break my hand.
Minor detail.
It took me 3 stories to get to that story, but I figured it out. I still have the pins in it. Thank you.
Now, in the Goldbergs,
Yeah.
you throw a knife. Do you actually throw the knife? Does somebody throw the knife for you?
No, that was just a little camera trick, yeah.
Magic of TV.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. For the Dead Zone, I had to write it down because, us middle-aged people. Did you study Christopher Walken and his portrayal of the character, or did you just do you?
I just did, I just kind of took my own approach. The only thing I took from Chris Walken was like the pea coat and the cane, and believe me, after season 2, I wanted to throw that cane as far as I could throw it. But he's a great actor, he's one of my favorites. And we actually took a lot of the imagery and some of the scenes in our pilot episode with Dead Zone, which was way back in 2001, 21 years ago. Wow. But I never thought I'd have a TV show, so I was grateful for it. And, it was a great experience where I met my wife. We shot in Vancouver, and, we wound up doing, I think, like 80 episodes of it. It was really a great experience for me. And, to be very honest, I had struggled a lot in my 20s to get work because I, made a, big impression with the John Hughes film. So, people were always kind of second guessing me in show business, so I really had to kind of push through, and then by the time I got that, it was in my early 30s. I was really grateful for the job, and it went out to be a hit, so I was really happy for that. And very challenging role too, sometimes there were some episodes where I played multiple parts. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, so
we enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Appreciate that.
You mentioned that cane. You mentioned the cane you used. That cane has been in a lot of Stephen King movies, right? Yeah, it's been in that one. It's been, I forget the second one, but it's also been in Storm of the Century. So they just change out the head of the cane and then just pass it along to whoever gets it.
Hi. So I appreciate that I grew up with so many of your pieces of work, and it just made a huge difference in my life. But The Dead Zone is probably one of my favorite things I've ever, I've rewatched the series multiple times. I
Oh,
love
thank
it.
you.
I am just wondering if you had like a favorite episode or a favorite moment in that show that really, really stuck with you.
That's a good question. You know what was interesting? I kind of made like a personal commitment. I had like just a rallying call for myself, which was to make each episode better than the last somehow, and to treat each episode like it was a $50 million movie. You know, I really was trying to just bring it and give it all I could. As a result of that, some episodes, you know, to be very honest, it felt awkward and weird, and others felt very cinematic and really cool. So there was one I did. It was about the Native Americans. Do you remember that one? That was a powerful one. I like that one. But there were a lot. There was another one too where it was like I had to do with the Salem witch trials, and I was seeking. That was a pretty interesting one too. I was just grateful, you know, because again, you have a staff of writers, you have a whole crew. It really takes a whole team to make any good TV show or film. And with that, we had the good fortune of a really great crew in Vancouver, a really talented writing staff. And I was given that opportunity by a gentleman named Michael Piller, who created Deep Space Nine and Voyager. So he and his sons were the producers, and I guess he saw me when I played Bill Gates, and he just gave me the Dead Zone as an opportunity. So I was so grateful to him for that. And it became a great run, and I never expected, like I said, to have a show, so I was really grateful for it. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it.
Hello.
Hi there.
I'm really nervous, so I hope I get this out right.
Don't be. It's okay.
You're doing
we're all
great.
here.
You started out as a teenage actor, and a lot of actors have had a hard time going from like teenage roles into adult roles. Did you have a hard time transitioning, and did anybody give you any advice for that?
Oh, no one did actually. I could have used some.
Thanks for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for nothing. No, I really appreciate that. You know, I'm very well aware of that. You know, I have, in my life, I've met a lot of young actors, and sadly, we've lost some of them, you know, and my heart goes out to people that deal with that. It can be a very cruel business, and it's very difficult. I came from a certain stock of people. I come from an Italian, Irish, Northeastern family, and I had the spirituality that was given to me by my mother and my family. So I think having a strong family, having faith, just gave me a thick skin, you know, because there was nothing ever guaranteed with this, and there still isn't. And I'm just grateful to God that I've been able to do this all my life, you know. But there was one commitment I did make to myself, which was after I had the success in those John Hughes films, that I just knew that I would keep going, you know, and that was enough. So I'm grateful, you know, because it's season by season. It's often hand to mouth. You never know when anything's coming, but if you just keep at it in life, you know, it's that old saying, if you do something that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. But I've been really grateful to develop and have this craft, this opportunity with my career, and I've tried to work at it and just develop over the years, and I'm grateful for the longevity, you know, because that was something that I had set my sights on as a kid, thinking that, you know, I don't know how I would get there, but you know, I've just been chipping away, as my father would say, just keep swinging, you know. So, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. You have such a wide body of work, movies and TV series and things like that. With actors, some actors say, oh, I love TV series because I get to stay home and I have a regular schedule. And some enjoy the movies and the traveling. And like, I was wondering which one you prefer. And follow up, is your wife like, don't you have a movie you need to go make somewhere? But I love you. Sorry.
That's really funny. No, I like that. You know what? Honestly, I kind of treat it the same way. I think it's really about the quality of the material. Like if I'm doing a comedy, it's just a different mindset. I'm often just lighter when I'm doing it. But if I'm doing something that's more intense, I can disappear a lot too. Like when I did Halloween Kills, for example, I was so pumped to be working with those guys. And I was so pumped to be part of that franchise. Did you guys see Halloween Kills? Did you guys dig it? Is it up there? Okay, good. Thank you, guys. Thank you. No, so I just really, like with that role, for example, I just knew, first of all, in a horror film, you're not going to win, right? Because the villain is the hero, right? And everybody wants to see the villain slay and take out everybody and everybody, right? So with that, my mindset for Halloween Kills, for example, was just to bring as much intensity as I could to it, to kind of match that intensity of Myers. And then when I got to set, I was really grateful because I was always a big fan of David Gordon Green and Danny McBride. I love those guys, I really do. And I auditioned for multiple of their shows. So when I got to set, I just was getting all this feedback and notes from David that he really kind of wanted Tommy to be the hero for the town, and he's leading the whole town, and everybody rises up in a very heroic way to kind of try to fight Myers. So for example, it just depends on the work and what I'm doing, and I like to mix it up. And like when I played Bill Gates, that was another one where I just kind of disappeared. I read everything I could. I would actually, speaking of that film, that was in 1999, I would walk around the set listening to Bill Gates on tape on my Walkman. Remember Walkmans, everybody? And the other actors were like, what the hell is up with Hall? This guy's retarded. Like, what is he doing? But I'd be listening to Gates, So sometimes my point of this is like if I have a dramatic role for something that I feel has more weight or I kind of disappear, and I don't necessarily socially engage as much when I'm working. It's just to protect my own concentration when I'm working as an actor. But you got to be a person, and again, it's a group effort. So, but for me, when I'm doing if it's something intense like that, I kind of just keep a little distance from myself, so I can just kind of get pumped up. And I do any number of things, from shadow boxing and stretching to listening to Led Zeppelin or Bill Gates in my ear or whatever the hell I got to do. So I kind of treat each thing separately. But thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cassie.
Hi, Cassie.
Cassie.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
My question is, in Halloween Kills, were you upset that you didn't kill Michael? And,
yes.
My other part of my question is, in the new Halloween, do you hope Laurie kicks his butt?
Yes. No, I do. I mean, I don't know what you guys think. How do you think it's going to end? Do you think they're going to take each other out, or she's going to take him out? What do you guys think? I think so, too. You think so? Okay, take it.
I mean, she's been working on it for,
I'm
40
with that.
years now?
Yeah, exactly.
She's due.
I think so.
She's due that moment.
I think so. No, that was a great opportunity. I mean, I had met Jamie Lee Curtis. I was actually at the premiere of that movie. Remember the 80s Perfect? It was so cheesy with her and John Travolta. That was awesome. And I met her as a kid, and she was really cool. So when I got this job, it was really great. She didn't show up till about 3 weeks. And as you guys saw, she was kind of in the bed for most of the film. But super down to earth, great lady. And I was super excited to be a part of Halloween Kills.
I thought he was going to die when you kicked his ass.
I was trying to kick his ass. I know. I was coming at him. It was actually about 2 weeks into the shoot. David Gordon Green came up to me and goes, I think you need a weapon. I was like, let's go, babe. What do we got? Come on. So then he put the bar behind the bar, the bat behind the bar. And that became my thing, the old Huckleberry. But I was trying to take his head off. But as I said, everybody wants to see Myers kill everybody. So it was a no-win, a losing proposition, I guess. But thank you for your question. Yes, ma'am.
All right, back to the 80s again. You're brat packer here. Did you ever get to date any of the brat packers, or did they friend zone you?
Did they friend zone me? Well, to be very honest, Molly. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna. I keep private things private, but I did date Molly briefly after we did Breakfast Club, which was as big a shock to me as anybody. Because all through 16 Candles, she had a mean on for me.
She did give you her underpants.
Dude, I mean, I got the underpants, but it was scripted. Okay? And she was not having it. She really kind of looked at me like she did in the film, to be very honest with you. And then it was really random, guys. Like, we were doing the Breakfast Club one day, and this is puppy love. But she was like, you're such an idiot. And I was like, what? She goes, I have such a crush on you. And it was news to me. I was like, really? Like, I like this movie shit. Okay. You got a crush on me? I always thought it was about Jake Ryan, right? I've had 5,000 questions over the years about Jake Ryan. Where is Jake Ryan? I have no idea. Nobody knows.
You were able to break the ice with Molly in music, right? Didn't John Hughes take you guys to a record store to get you to kind of
Oh yeah, well that's what I'm saying.
hang out and
Yeah.
break that tension in 16 Candles?
He was always doing that kind of stuff, as I said earlier. He was great. He would take us to concerts, we'd hang out at his house, we would do all kinds of fun stuff together. But, he was great because he made sure, he gave time to everybody while we were working. So it was a very interactive process. Yes, sir.
Do you have a favorite memory or story from vacation?
Sure,
We're
I
going
got a
back
lot
to
of memories from
83
that
here.
one. Yeah. Well, we had Christy Brinkley, because guys remember the Sports Illustrated annual February issue, swimsuit edition. I was like seriously madly in love with Christy Brinkley, so that was like surreal. When I got to the set, because I was at home like taping up Sports Illustrated pictures of her 2 years before that. Making that film was incredible. I mean, Chevy was great, John Candy was great. Here's a quick memory. The roller coaster scene, God rest his soul, I was the only one that could fit with John in the front. My little skinny ass, so it was me and John Candy in the front. I remember that moment where he almost throws up and I'm like covering his mouth. He was the best. Let's give it up for John Candy. John, we miss you. We love those guys. But he was the best. Chevy was funny, but Chevy's sarcastic funny. It's a different type of funny, you know? John Candy was Uncle Buck for real. He was awesome. He just loved to make you laugh. He was so cool. He was a great guy to work with. So that's a funny memory. We shot that. And it's actually, this is a funny quick story. We shot a different ending originally for Vacation. Originally, we never made it to the park. Check this out. The original ending is Eddie Bracken, who plays Roy Wally. It's supposed to be Roy Disney, right? We go to his house and we kidnap him. Okay, he takes Roy Wally hostage at his mansion. So we shot this whole scene at a mansion by a pool, and Chevy and everybody shows up, and Chevy has him at gunpoint. It was ridiculous. So they test screened the film, right? And people were like, that's not it. We want to see them get to Wally World. So all the cards came back like, this sucks. We want to see them actually get there. So cut to, puberty kicked in for me. It's like a year later. I grew about a foot. And I get to Six Flags shooting this, right? And of course, Chevy, first thing out of his mouth, nice pimple, what's going on? How's puberty? Because I was like a foot taller. So if you look at Vacation, it's really funny. The last scene, I'm like a foot taller, my hair's darker, and I'm riding a roller coaster. And it was due to puberty, very nice. But I got paid for puberty. You know what I'm saying?
They saved the kidnapping scene for Christmas Vacation.
Right.
We'll just bring it back later.
Yeah, you're right, exactly. But they threw it out, and then we reshot that ending about a year, less than a year later at Six Flags. Yes, sir.
Hey, Michael. Big fan. I really appreciate you coming to this.
Oh, thank you.
You're really an established actor. You've been in the business for decades. Do you still have to audition for roles?
Sounds nice, established actor.
I'd say 40 years is a
Could you blast all of Hollywood and let them know that?
Louder for everyone in the back.
Just kidding. Sorry, sir. Go ahead.
No, do you have to audition for roles still, or do they know you're out there?
You know, it's a combination of things. Yeah, I mean, they make you earn it, really, in Hollywood. And I think it's a good thing, because it's that saying, like, you're only as good as your last thing. So, for example, in Halloween Kills, yeah, I had to do a screen test. What I was able to do with that project is I asked my reps when it came up, I said, can I meet with David Gordon Green? I was a big fan of his. Turns out that was arranged. We had a really nice meeting. We had a beer together at his hotel. He was in LA temporarily. Because he and Danny, they moved their families to South Carolina when they did the first Halloween. So, for example, like on that film, I did screen test. And so after the meeting, about a couple days later, I screen tested, and they were kind enough to hire me. But yeah, I mean, a lot of times you have meetings still, you know, and they do make a lot of people audition, you know. So, but some things come as offers, and a lot of times, you know, like that, they can play out like an audition or a meeting. And then there were these Zoom meetings. I'm sure we've all had enough Zoom meetings for the last 3 years, haven't we? The world became Brady Bunch on your laptop, didn't it? Are we all here? What the hell's going on? I hate those things. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it.
Speaking of auditions, your audition for Saturday Night Live. Rumor has it you just said to Robert Downey Jr., hey, let's go audition.
That was actually unique because I was given that. I was just asked to join the cast by Lauren, which was a trip for me because most people, as you know, start out in stand-up or they work in Second City or Citizens Upright Brigade, you know, sort of improv groups, and I came at it at a different angle. But then, yeah, I did get Downey hired. Actually, he owes me more money than I thought. Let me call
That's a lot. Yeah, he should probably get you
Dear
on some of those
borrow me 10 million. What will that do for you? Just joking.
Hi, I'm such a huge fan. My family quotes Weird Science on the daily. And I was just wondering if you have stolen anything, any props from the set, maybe the bras from Weird Science, or any of those.
I am signing bras and panties at the table. So if you have clean bras and panties, feel free. No, I didn't ever, you know what, I never really did. Oh, you know what's really funny though? I did take the wardrobe. Because back in the day I think John gave it to us. because we thought we were feeling pretty cool in those 80s suits that they gave us. So I think I kept that for a while. Yeah. That's the only thing I can think. Usually I keep the director's backs, the chairs. Yeah. Other than that, not much stuff going on. Thanks for your question.
Thank you, guys.
So since we're throwing it back to John Hughes days, calm down, it's going to be okay. This isn't a tough question, this is an easy one. A lot of your scripts, especially in The Breakfast Club, were ad-libbed, right? The scene where you're talking about why you're in detention, some of that was ad-libbed. Why do you have a fake ID? Was that ad-libbed?
It was, yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. He was such a good writer. He was always there on the page. But you're right, a lot of those things just developed. There was a nice lady who came to the table earlier with her daughter, and she's like, "You guys should have more pictures of Michael underneath the table at 16 Candles." That was another moment. Like, I just got to the set, and it had already been dressed to look wrecked, like a high school party. And John looks at me and goes, "You think you could fit underneath that glass table?" I go, "Watch this, John." So, a lot of things did develop in a very organic way, and he did let a lot of things happen. So you're right, a lot of those lines were ad-libbed. And that was just, again, part of his process. It was cool that he was like that. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes. I was wondering if you ever got to meet Stephen King while filming Dead Zone, and if he had any influence on how you portrayed Johnny.
Good question, sir. I did not meet him. But funny enough, I was at a Red Sox game with my uncle and his wife, and my fiance at the time, now wife, and I happened to bump into a young man who was his nephew. He came up to me and he said, "I'm Stephen King's nephew." I went, "Oh, that's great. Well, say hello to your uncle for me." As close as I've gotten. But I would love to meet him. And I'm a big fan of his. I think he stands by that sort of writer's rule that John Hughes taught me, which is you have to write about what you know. So doing research about Stephen King, I learned, for example, he and his wife had a pet cemetery in their yard. Or often he writes about Maine because he lived in Bangor. So taking from his life, I think that's something that a lot of writers do. They'll just draw from life. Change the names maybe to protect the innocent.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, guys. I think my time is up here. I think, right? Is there anything else? Do we have more? We have time?
I mean, we've got plenty of time.
Great.
You guys want more, right?
I'm here all weekend.
Okay.
It's a 17-minute ride by golf cart back to my table, so I'll hang out for a while.
So you talk about how you approach your roles when it comes to the Dead Zone, that you're approaching it as everyone's a big $1 million movie, things like that. But you've done every kind of role. You've done teenagers, teenage icons. You've done fanciful villains with Tim Burton. You've done Bill Gates. What's your go-to? What role would you just jump at to do again?
You know what? There have been a couple times where I played real big. Like playing Gates was a big challenge and very inspiring for me because that really motivated me. It gives you a different type of energy. I played Whitey Ford. I did a baseball movie with Billy Crystal years ago called 61 about the Yankees. And that was fun. So, I've had a quick story about Whitey Ford. It was so funny. I see him at the premiere. He has since passed on. And I walked up to Whitey Ford after the premiere of 61 in 1999. I goes, "Mr. Ford, sir, Michael Hall." Goes, "An honor to play you in the film." And it was so funny. He big leagued me like a manager when he goes, "I hope you had a good curveball, kid," and I walked away.
No pressure. Zero pressure.
It was really funny. Very Whitey Ford response from Whitey Ford. But in terms of, I'm open to whatever. Honestly, I feel capable in terms of trying different things, whether it's comedy or drama. So just looking for good material.
How did it feel going back when you go to the Goldbergs for a couple of episodes, right? You get your throwback episode to National Lampoon, then you're the cool educator teaching them how to be cool, and the Goldbergs takes place in the 80s. So how does it feel to go back to the era that you grew up in and that you portrayed what a teen icon might look like?
Well, it was fun because there was a lot of inside jokes about myself, about the 80s. As you guys know, if you watch that show, it's really fun. But I love watching Wendy McClendon perform. She's awesome. She ad-libs a lot. And it's a great group of people. They're really nice to work with. I just joined the cast of another show I'm working on now called Bosch Legacy. All different, like a dramatic show, but I'm playing like a special agent on that. And that's fun too, so I like mixing it up, But on the Goldbergs, it's always good to be on a hit show because everybody's in a good mood. They've been doing this show and
they know what they're doing by now.
They've all become rich for 7 years doing the Goldbergs.
Right.
No, but they generally are good people, and that shoots close to my house, so it's a really nice show to work on. And then I'm working on the show now, Bosch Legacy, which has also been a lot of fun for me. Yeah, you guys are fans of Bosch? Yeah.
It's a new one, don't worry.
Yeah, it ran for, I guess, 7 seasons, and this now is a new installment, and it's 2nd season or 9th season. I'm looking at it, but yeah. So I just like to mix it up and kind of go where the work is. I've also started producing. I produced a film called The Class, which is kind of an updated version of The Breakfast Club. It's not a remake, but you guys can check that out. It's on Apple, and we produced that last summer. And then I produced another film that we just wrapped production on in August called Roswell Delirium, which is kind of a drama. So yeah, and then I have another project coming up. I shot a movie with Jessica Alba called Trigger Warning for Netflix, and that'll be coming up soon. So yeah.
So you're saying you're bored?
I just like to
see projects.
Yeah, I just like to mix it up. In the Trigger Warning, I play like a corrupt senator who has 2 bad seed sons. That was surreal too, to get to the set of that movie, and I got 2 grown-ass men as sons. I'm like, I'm old now. I am formally in my 50s.
In The Class, you take on the other side of the role, right? You're the grumpy educator.
Right, in The Class, I played the principal, so that took me full circle, because I had thoughts of Paul Gleeson while I was doing that. Paul was great. I have a quick story about how Paul Gleeson got cast in The Breakfast Club. It was so funny. We were shooting 16 Candles, and that wrapped, and John was casting. He was looking for the teacher for The Breakfast Club, and he brought in, remember the guy that played, the old gentleman who played the bartender on Cheers? Coach, was that his name?
Coach.
He was great, so he was in contention, but I had seen Trading Places. Now there's a scene in Trading Places, do you guys remember that movie?
Oh yeah.
Paul Gleeson is at a payphone. Remember payphones, anybody?
You had to have quarters.
You gotta be over 40 to remember a damn payphone. So basically, there's a funny scene where the old lady is waiting to use the payphone, and she was like this sweet little 90-year-old. And Paul Gleeson looks at her and goes, "Fuck off." It was terrible, but it was hilarious. So then I brought that to John's attention, and next thing you know, he brought him in to read him for The Breakfast Club. And the rest was history, because Paul Gleeson just was so good at being...
Cranky.
Yeah, just that cranky kind of teacher. So when I was doing The Class, I was thinking about Paul a lot. He was an awesome guy. He was awesome.
You were able to bring back one of the original cast members from The Breakfast Club into The Class.
That's right. We got John Kaplos in the film too. John was he played the janitor. Right. He's a great actor too. So he plays an uncle to one of the kids. So I'd encourage you guys to see The Class. It's a good film. It really turned out great. And I never thought I'd be doing a film inspired by another film I made. But this guy, Nicky Solozzi, is a director from Chicago that wrote the script, and we have a really good young cast in it. They did a great job. It's 6 kids in detention instead of 5. And Debbie Gibson plays a drama teacher, and I play the principal. It's pretty fun. She's awesome in it. She did a great job. You guys will love her, and she's a really nice lady. So, but anyway, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I hope some of this is hitting home. I don't know. Am I doing all right, guys?
Are we still good? Any last questions? Anybody might? This is your last chance.
Final questions before I take my golf cart and get out of here. Yes, we did. We did. We had a reunion recently. We did 2 a signing this year. Was it Cherry Hill or Pittsburgh? I think it was Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And Chevy was there, Beverly, and then a couple of rest, Ethan, and then Blake Lively's brother. What was his name? Jason Lively. Great guy. So we did have a Rusty reunion. Yeah. Thank you. Well, guys, thank you.
I think that that does our time. You've done everything from, jerky teens to villains and saviors in Halloween. Let's end it with how you want to be remembered. No pressure.
As a good guy and a good actor. That's all.
Anthony Michael Hall, everyone.
Everybody, please give a huge round of applause for Anthony Michael Hall! Thank you so much.